Welcome. This is Mr. Fisher's Flip, 3rd grade. This is the week after Peach Days. I hope you had a wonderful Peach Days weekend.
Well, hopefully you were also able to enjoy the Peach Day celebration. I was able to watch the parade, and hopefully you also got some peaches. And if you notice this picture from the Ogden Standard Examiner, it shows that there were a lot of people there, and they were all trying to find some shade. If we look at today's agenda, this is the 3rd week of school. We are working on Math Lesson 1.3. We're going to talk about how we're all learning about how this is going to work and how we're going to put it together on a continual basis. And our assignment will be to do another WSQ, and there will be a letter going home about the Math Expressions book. If we look at the lesson itself is structured around the Math Expressions book. And so we will be talking about multiplication and arrays today, but our focus comes from the Common Core standards. We will be using multiplication and drawings to represent array situations and the commutative property of multiplication.
When I say commutative property, I want you to think of a mirror, because it helps us understand how we're going to get through one side of the problem to the other. And I'll talk about that later.
One thing I wanted to show you is I've set this lesson up according to what I found from the book. And these lessons are put into the smartboard, and then I'm able to talk to you about the lesson. And you'll notice that we'll only go through the whiteboard lesson part, but during class we'll be going through the activity 1, 2, and 3 in more detail. Part of the lesson you don't get to see at home, you'll be seeing in school. This last week when we did the flip lesson, we were trying to show you that we wanted to do some sorting. And so what the students did when they got back on Friday, they were able to sort some manipulatives. Well, one thing I wasn't expecting, but very creative, was we have this one blue tile times one blue tile with an equal sign, one tile. So this is a very creative way to show a math equation or a number sentence. And so even though it doesn't show what I was hoping for, it's very creative, and students were able to have some fun with that. Over on this side though, this is what we were looking for. We wanted to show that you could group. Well, if you notice on this one right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 red blocks. And if we go all the way down this line, we'll find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks, or 9 stack ups. And each stack up has 4 little cubes in it. So if we were able to do that, we would be able to say 9 groups of 4, or 9 times 4. If you look at this here on the table, we have 3 groups, or 3 in each group. And how many groups do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 times 3 equals 5, 10, 15. There should be 15 little rings right there. And so you notice that we were practicing the concept using manipulatives at school. So what you had to do was watch the video and get the concept down so you could come to school and practice it. And each one of the students were able to practice this using their own ability, and then they were able to show some of their peers how they were able to practice their multiplication using grouping and sorting.
Here's all my notes, what I'm supposed to look at. If you notice right here, I'm supposed to give you some checkup sheets, show you how to do arrays, and help you understand the commutative property as a strategy. So let's start with the lesson today. Today's lesson, we're going to talk about multiplication arrays. And an array is something we used today as we try to figure out some multiplication problems. So let me model it for you. I'm going to give you some hints on how to use it. First of all, let's use some of the tools we have used, like the multiplication table. Oh, we haven't used it. Here's the multiplication table. If you notice, if I want to find 5 times 5, I find 5 up here in the corner, and I go down to 5 on the bottom. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I find out that 5 times 5 is 25.
Well, on arrays, are set up so that we can make sure that these lines are actually in a straight rows and columns. And so these hearts that I'm using, how many hearts are there across? And how many hearts are there down? So we've set it up so that these hearts are straight up and down and straight across. So count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 in that row. Then we keep going. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 in 2 rows. 9, 10, 11, 12 in 3 rows. 13, 14, 15, 16 in 4 rows. 17, 18, 19, 20. So this array shows 4 times 5. So I've modeled for you how to do an array, but you could use other symbols also. And so what I want you to do is practice on your homework paper tonight and just make a 4x5 model using your choice for symbols. So if you really want to, you could do stars or circles, and what you do is you just make another array that has that symbol, and then you just make sure that you line them up in the same exact pattern as the hearts. My computer's a little bit slow, but you can finish this and make sure that you show 4 times 5. Well, let's apply it.
Now for the first part of your assignment. Without counting the dots in the array, write greater than, less than, or equal. I'm going to change the screen for a second so I can use a pen. And if you see this right here, that's the greater than. Then we have the less than, and then the equal sign. Okay? We're going to figure out which one has the most. Now I want you to use some of the strategies we used today. We can count, that's easy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we can keep counting, 6, 7, 8. But I want you to realize that this is an array. This box right here, those dots each represent a portion or a number, but we want to be able to count it up fast. And one of the ways we can do that is with this array, we can use multiplication. So let's take, how many rows are there? Oh, let's go with columns first. How many columns are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 columns, so I'm going to write 5 using a different marker, and I'm going to put 5 down here. 5 times, and let's check. How many rows do we have? 1, 2, 3. So 5 times 3 rows. Let's make it into a different color. 5 times 3 equals something. And that gives us the number of dots. Well, let's change back and let's find out how many are on this side. If we look, there are 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns. And so if we take and change that to 4 columns times 1, 2, 3, 3 rows, we're able to figure out the answer.
Well, go with your answer. Put your answer. Ready to check it? Did we get it right? If you notice right here, it shows that we did get it right. These are greater than this side. And if you notice, we use the alligator jaws. We have the greater than, less than, or the equal sign. Well, the next slide shows problem solving. Understand what you're looking for, plan it out, solve it, then check your answer. Go ahead and try that on your own. Then I come back and I make sure that you have the answer correct. So what we have done is we have Zach's crayons. So what are we trying to understand? We need to find out how many crayons are in the box. So our plan is to make a drawing. I made crayon drawings, and with my crayon drawings I'm going to make sure that they are in nice rows. How many crayons are in each box? So our plan was to create a drawing, and now we need to solve it. We need to find out how many crayons are in that box. So we count 6 crayons in each of these boxes. So we need to solve it by saying 6 times 4 equals. Now check to see if you have the right answer. Let's check. If you wrote the equation and got the answer correct, notice they have 4 sets of crayons. 4 times 6 equals 24. Well, if you notice, I turned that around and I had 6 times 4. Do I still get the same answer? Yes, I do. Okay, for today's WSQ, when and where did you watch the video? This is also a chance for you to tell me if there's something that's not working correctly. S is for summary, and today we were learning about arrays. Q stands for question. Was there any question that you might have had? Here's a sample question. Can an array be found in nature? And so you can bring that WSQ back to class and we can talk about it on Wednesday. Remember, this is not due until Wednesday, September 10th. One last thing, you will be taking home a sheet that is for homework. This is actually a note that you can show your parents. This letter will explain how we practice the multiplications, and it gives you a better understanding of the learning that goes on in the math class. And it also creates a bridge between home and Mr. Fisher's class. So if you have any questions, remember, use the WSQ. That's all I have for tonight. Good night, and hopefully this time it all comes together. Good night.